How much do you actually need to earn to buy a home in the GTA in 2026? That's the question. And if you've been carrying it around quietly, wondering whether your income is even in the ballpark, then this video answers it properly. With real numbers at 4 real price points using the actual rules banks use today. A Toronto Foundation survey found that 4 in 10 people across the Toronto area say their household income doesn't feel enough, and buying in the GTA feels out of reach. My name is Gaurav, I am a realtor in the Greater Toronto area, and I'm going to walk you through exactly what income you need at 4 price points. $600,000, $850,000, $1 million, and $1.3 million. Then I'll show you something most buyers never get told. There are actually 2 different income numbers for every home. Once you understand both, this market stops feeling impossible and starts feeling like a plan you can work on. Now here's why nobody's giving you a clean answer. The income you need isn't the income required to make your monthly payment. It's the income required to pass a test that banks run that assumes things will get worse than they probably will. Stick with me for 90 seconds on this, because once you understand this rule, every number I'm about to give you will make sense. It's called the mortgage stress test. When the bank decides how much to lend you, they don't ask, can you afford this payment? They ask, could you still afford it if your rate jumped 2% higher? And that's a fair question because rates do move, and at renewal in 5 years, you might actually be paying it. So the bank wants to know you could handle it if it happens. That's why even though the best 5-year fixed rate in Toronto right now is around 4%, they test you as if you're paying 6%. The rule is called the minimum qualifying rate set by OSFI, and it's why the income you need on paper is meaningfully higher than the income you'd need to comfortably live in that home. On top of that, the bank uses 2 rules of thumb. Your housing costs, mortgages, tax, heat cannot be more than 39% of your gross income. And all your debt combined, including any car loan, credit card, cannot be more than 44%. So that car payment isn't just an expense, it's directly shrinking the mortgage the bank is going to give you. So with that rule in mind, here's the answer you came for. I picked 4 price points to cover the realistic range of what you might actually be looking at in the GTA right now, from a starter condo to a detached home in one of the premium cities. And these 4 prices aren't random. They are the actual GTA averages from TREB's April market data. A typical condo runs to about $630,000. A typical townhouse runs around $850,000. A typical semi-detached roughly around $1 million, and a typical detached runs around $1.3 million depending on the city. Let's start with the entry point into the GTA market, because for a lot of first-time buyers, this is where the journey realistically begins. With the minimum down payment of about $35,000, you need a household income of roughly $133,000 a year to qualify. That number assumes typical property taxes and a condo fee of around $500 a month, which is realistic for a unit at this price point. If you can put 20% down, which works out to $120,000 in cash, and the income requirement drops to around $113,000. Now for most buyers, this tier is the line between needing 2 solid incomes and being able to carry it on 1 strong income. If you are solo and earning $80,000 to $90,000, the math doesn't get you there at the minimum down. Now if you want a bit more space, a bit more storage, maybe a small backyard, you're moving up to the next price point. This is the tier most of my first-time buyer clients actually land in. Townhomes, semis, and detached at this price are what you will find in parts of the GTA. With the minimum down of about $60,000, you'd need roughly $174,000 of household income to qualify. With 20% down, which is $170,000 in cash, the income drops to $148,000. Now that gap matters, but not in the way you might think. It doesn't mean you just put 20% down. Most people who cannot qualify on the income side also might not have $170,000 sitting in cash. What it means is the down payment is the slow lever. Every year you spend building it through your FHSA and the home buyer's plan is a year you're lowering the income you'll need when you're ready to actually buy. From $850,000 to $1 million sounds like a small step on paper, but the income jump is where it gets sobering. $1 million is also the psychological line everyone benchmarks against, so this is the tier where buyers are most likely to stretch. You need roughly $203,000 of household income on the minimum down, or around $173,000 on 20% down. This is also the tier where in my video on why first-time buyers overpay, I showed how buyers who swear they'll stay at the $900K talk themselves up to $1 million on offer night. Knowing the real income demand before the emotion kicks in is what keeps you out of that trap. And the fourth price point is the $1.3 million home, which can get you a detached in one of the best cities to raise a family in the GTA. The income jump here is steep again, around $261,000 of household income on minimum down, or roughly $223,000 with 20% down. These are dual strong earner numbers. If this tier is genuinely out of reach, that's not a failure, it's useful information. It tells you to pick your city around your actual income rather than chase the city and stretch your income to match. My video ranking the best cities to buy in the GTA is built for exactly that, and the link is in the description. There's a part of this that nobody likes to say out loud. Most of these income numbers assume two earners. The typical Toronto household earns around $84,000 a year, while the typical home costs about 7.6 times that. So if these numbers feel disconnected from your reality, there's a real documented reason for that. Now here's the part that should change how this video is sitting with you. The income requirement I just gave you is real, but it's not fixed. There are 5 things you can do over time to bring it down, and most of them don't require earning a single extra dollar. Now these aren't tricks, they are the exact moves I walk every first-time buyer through. Pay attention to number 2 especially, it's the one most people don't realize matters as much as it does. Level 1 is the down payment. I want to be honest about this one first. If you're short on the income side, you're probably also short on the cash to put 20% down. That's the reality, and I don't want this to land as just put more down. What the down payment really is the most powerful lever you can build over time. Every year of saving through the FHSA and the home buyers plan is a year you're lowering the income you'll need when you actually buy. Between the two programs, you can build up to $100,000 per person towards your first home with the tax refunds along the way. My full FHSA video and a free down payment calculator are both linked in the description. Now, level 2 is to clear your debt before you apply, not after. This is the one most people don't see coming because the bank accounts your car loan and credit card payments against you. Paying off a $500 a month car loan can add tens of thousands of dollars to what you qualify for. For some of my clients, that single move has done more for their buying power than a raise ever could. If you're planning to buy in the next 12 months and you have a car loan, this is the most underrated move you can make if you can afford it. Level 3 is to use the 30-year amortization. As a first-time buyer with an insured mortgage, you can stretch your amortization up to 30 years instead of 25. That lowers your qualifying payment and lowers the income you need. Take the room if you need it, you can always pay extra later. Level 4 is adding a co-signer or a second income. Adding a partner's income or a parent as a co-signer adds directly to the income side of the equation. For a lot of families I work with, this is the realistic path into a tier they couldn't reach alone. It's just a tool and it's one a lot of buyers use. Now level 5 is credit unions. Credit unions are provincially regulated, so they are not always bound by the same federal stress test the big banks use. Some buyers who get turned down at a bank get approved at a credit union. Go in with proper advice. It's a real tool, not a loophole, but it's an option worth knowing about. Now here's where I have to be straight with you because this is the part of the video that matters most for your actual life. Everything we just covered will tempt you. You now have a real income ladder. You know 5 things that can move you into a different tier, and on offer night, sitting across from a home you love, that knowledge can quietly become permission to push further than you should. When the bank approves you on an $850,000 home, they tested you at about $4,900 a month using the 6% qualifying rate. Your actual payment at 4% is closer to $3,900, about $1,000 a month lower. Most buyers hear that and think my real payment is more manageable than I thought. Maybe I can stretch a little further than I planned. And that is the trap. That cushion is what protects you when life happens. A furnace replacement, a job change, a parental leave, a sudden repair. The buyers who stretch into that cushion are the ones who cannot absorb a normal year because nothing is left over. So here's what you actually do, and I want you to write this down. Before you walk into a single open house, do this math on your real life. Take your actual take-home pay, subtract your fixed costs, subtract what you genuinely spend on food, transportation, kids, savings, and the things that keep you sane. What's left is what's available for housing. Not what the bank says is available, but what your life says is available. And ask yourself a different question than the bank asks. The bank asks, can you carry this if rates go up? The right question is, can you carry this if your life goes sideways? If you lost your job for 3 months, or if interest rates renewed higher and in the same year you had a big repair? If the answer is no, you buy one tier below. I know what some of you are thinking. The home one tier below isn't the home you pictured. It doesn't have the kitchen, the 3rd bedroom, or the neighborhood you romanticized. That romance is the most expensive thing in this entire process. Every buyer I have worked with who stretched to their max tells me the same thing 6 months in. They didn't buy a home, they bought a payment and they are trapped under it. So treat the tier you can reach as the ceiling, not the target. The right home is one tier below the most you could afford. The right price is the one where if the worst month of your year happens, you're still okay. That's the real answer to how much you need to earn to buy a home in the GTA in 2026. Not one number, but a set of numbers you know how to read and how to use without letting them push you somewhere your life cannot support. If this helped you finally get a straight answer to a question you've been carrying around, then share it with someone else wondering the same thing. Subscribe for more research-driven GTA breakdowns, and if you want the full step-by-step journey from day one to getting your keys, my recorded first-time home buying webinar is linked in the description. It's completely free to watch. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.